Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. More developments as to exactly what happened over the last few days that Pred is returning to OpTic. FormaL reveals last night that as far as he is concerned, Shotzzy is the one that made the call to drop his friend Huke from the roster and get Pred back into the starting team. Shotzzy though says that's not how it went down. How much involvement did Dashy, Kenny, maybe even Hex, Karma, JP, whatever, in making this decision? Very much into your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. We're going to start with some Rostermania stuff, beginning with the following. So, Ronnie tweeted this out yesterday. Surge have officially dropped Hicksy from the lineup. There is a question whether they could even have gone for a two-man change. Let's be real, they made a two-man change in the off-season, minus Huke plus Hicksy, minus aBeZy plus Nastie. Nastie stays for now, and to be honest, I rate Nastie. I think he probably should stay, to be honest. But there is an argument that this Surge team could have made a two-man change. Abuzah's actually, you know, look, he's not been KD-wise that good, but he's been reasonably okay. 04, I do actually rate him, and I think that 04 will get better and better with time. So I don't mind the move they've decided to make. So Ronnie says they've chosen Neptune as the replacement. And seemingly this is not a done deal, but it must be, well, at least Ronnie believes, and he nailed everything in the offseason, that it's relatively close to a conclusion because, well, he used to be with Omid, and Omid presumably have now got another guy in their roster instead, so, you know, presumably Neptune's going the other way, right, to Seattle Surge. Of course, the interesting thing about this is that Abuzah, here in the replies, says the following, you know, what the F are you saying, brother? So kind of implying that, like, you know, this is fake news, you know, what are you talking about? Obviously, Bant says he's talking about that you guys signed Neptune, right? Like, pretty obvious what his tweet says. I think maybe, I'm not sure, because initially you see Abuzah's tweet and you say, oh, well, you know, Neptune can't be going there, but we've seen this plenty of times before when actually, no, that is true. Maybe what Abuzah was getting at is that it looks like Ronnie ranks the players. To be honest, when I read this, I didn't see that he'd ranked them. Like, that's not how I read it. I just read that he was listing the players. But I get that some people might look at this and say that, you know, they chose Neptune as their first option, Afro as their second option, Huke as their third option. That is one way to read this. It's not how I read it. I just thought that he was listing the players. But maybe Abuzah read it that way, and that's why he was annoyed, because that's not how, like, I don't know. Ronnie believes Neptune's going to Surge. I don't think he knows anything about, you know, how they came to their conclusion, which players that they had in whatever order in their heads. But this is interesting, right, if this is true, that they've chosen Neptune effectively over Huke. Now, look, over Afro is an interesting one. Obviously, he's done a great job in European challenges. I think he'd do a good job if he was back in the league, but, you know, fair enough. Maybe he needs to have another stage of killing it in European challenges to get that opportunity elsewhere. But Neptune is into the roster, potentially, over Huke. That's the interesting one, right? Because, yeah, Neptune's been killing it in challenges so far this year. He is a player that I would say probably deserves another shot, but, you know, in many respects, he has been compared to Huke, just not with, you know, the same accolades and experience as a guy like Huke has. So choosing Nep over Huke, regardless of the Afro thing, is an interesting conversation to be had, and maybe it could come down to the fact that, well, Huke was on the roster last year, it wasn't really going to plan, and Rambo and Huke, a couple of times they've tried it and it hasn't really worked. So maybe even with Huke being available on the market, Surge were never really going to go there. So which team is going to go there? That's the question, because someone will, surely, right? Someone's going to go pick up Huke, but who's it going to be? It's probably not going to be Surge, on our understanding, although of course with Abuzah saying, what are you talking about? Maybe, you know, maybe there's another twist here in the tail. This was just kind of interesting to look for, because his Benjay Nassim dripped out on the Wednesday at the major, and the players were kind of going through which names they would look for to potentially get a spot, and these were the guys that got the votes. So, you know, Abe, Merc, Cobra, Craze, Illy got 1 vote pretty much. Okay, Merc got 2. Lurks, Fellow, Encourage, Lunas, and Neptune. Those are the players that were mentioned, but Neptune got the most shouts, right? Like, pretty much all of the players mentions Neptune as the player that they would consider to be signed. Now, of course, these guys didn't know at the time that Huke would be on the market, but still, most of the pros are believing that Neptune will get a spot, will deserve a spot, and Surge maybe are going exactly down that route. A couple of scrims from yesterday as well. So the old LAG, and by old LAG here, we're talking about Diamond Salmoncon, Yuli, Fame, and Assault, right? So, you know, they're kind of running it back as a roster in challenges right now versus the new LAG of Priestahh, Kismet, Skyz, and Lynz. They played a few maps of scrims yesterday. Unfortunately, loads of these scoreboards are really dark. It's just because the game is broken. But I'm not going to go through every single scoreboard in detail, but we'll just look at some of the numbers. So that old Gorillas team played the new Gentle Mates roster, which of course, as it stands, is seemingly sticking it out, right? The scrims are continuing. Doesn't look like they're going to make any roster changes. Whether that's a mistake, I mean, it could well be. Intrigued to your thoughts. They played all the maps, and it ended up being actually a 4-4 map count split. The Control Vault was won by the new Gentlemates team, and then Assault's team won the other two Controls. So, look, it's scrims, but still, Gentlemates, if they really want to prove that keeping this team of 4 together after a top 12 finish at the event, especially because, you know, the French fans were so mega there, like, they deserve a good team. And obviously this team has 3 world champions on, plus Lynz, the French kid, who was good at the major. Well, he played 1 match, but, you know, he was good in that match. Doesn't necessarily mean this is the right move, especially given that we just mentioned some challenger players, the likes of Lunas, among others, potential AR players who could be in the conversation here. Maybe that's not going to be happening. And just by way of relevance, right? So, you know, obviously, Gentlemates, there were 4 full map counts here, but what if this old LAG team is actually just really good right now? Doesn't seem so likely, because they played 4 maps, in Hardpoint at least, against Ultra, and absolutely slams them beyond recognition. Like, I mean, the skyline, okay, you can't really see the numbers here, but the skyline was 250 to 40. Right, so now I think Beans was playing under Skadoosh or whatever, but this is interesting for a couple of reasons. Firstly, to say maybe Gentlemates aren't all that, because they went 4-4 map count with these guys, with Ultra putting them in the 40-point club and nearly 100-point clubbing them on Hacienda. Like, I mean, this was an ugly set of scoreboards, right? This was another one that you guys can actually read, and I'll share this real quick. So, you know, this is what Ultra did to this roster in their scrims yesterday, whereas Gentlemates was obviously a very different story. I think for Toronto, they came top 6 of the major. They will definitely feel like they could have done better there. And this is why, like, I was gassing Toronto up on the desk when they were playing FaZe, is because, to my understanding, Toronto are, like, unreal in scrims. Like, they're just so good. And obviously scrims aren't everything, right? But they believe, Toronto believe, and other teams that play them in scrims believe, that they are a real force. This is why I don't think there's any chance they're dropping JoeDeceives for Huke. I know that some people have talked about it. I don't think there's any likelihood of that personally. You know, JoeDeceives is the absolute reaper in scrims, apparently. Now, look, can they translate that to matches? It's not working out so well so far, but they know, at least, well, Toronto believe, the potential is absolutely there. And they play a lot of teams very, very well in scrims, if not winning the majority of maps, as we see here. So that's why Ultra are, to me at least, a still force to be reckoned with, because, you know, look, their matches, they were 6 in 1 map count, to be full match count, sorry, in the qualifiers. Didn't really deliver at the major, but still, I think they see more potential there than maybe others do from the outside looking in. But let's talk about Shotzzy, Pred, and this duo. I thought this is actually really cool that Ollie Groves put out yesterday. This was kind of like the after party after the World Championship last year, and here's Shotzzy and Pred living it up at the back. It's actually a pretty cool run. This is me, obviously. I think on the left-hand side, if I go full screen, you guys can just about see. On the left-hand side, you've got, I think this is Clay, this is Enable, that's probably Nameless, that might be JCap, that might be Maddie Craig from OpTic, this obviously is me, and a few other recognisable faces here as well. I think even, can you see Donny Temp here? Is that Donny Temp? That probably is Donny Temp, right? So anyway, and then it gets blurry because he moves the camera and everything. But yeah, then in the background you see, this is obviously, well, maybe that's Carb, I don't know. That's certainly Money Bose on the left-hand side, and then Shotzzy and Pred having a good time at the back. So I thought that was actually kind of cool to look back on really from a few months ago when it was a very different timeline in OpTic's history. The reasoning behind why Pred was gone and now he's back again, because many OpTic fans are saying, well, what's the point if you're going to bring him back again anyway? Jake Hell saying, oh, is it to exploit the OpTic curse because they did it with Dashy, they dropped him, they brought him back, they won the World Championship. This time, you know, I don't think that was the intention. But the question is, okay, even if we don't know why, how, right? Like, who made the call? Why did they decide that Huke should go for Pred? Because obviously bringing back Pred you know, there's probably some degree of risk involved there. We don't exactly know what happens. You know, who knows? But the point is, someone made the call that Huke was going to go and Pred was the man they wanted back into the roster. FormaL turns on the stream last night and says, as far as he is aware, as far as he is concerned, it was Shotzzy, the Warlord, who made the decision.
I remember being at Content like 2 days ago, and when I was talking to Brandon, he was saying that like Pred texted Shotzzy after they lost or whatever, and I was like, "Are you guys gonna join again?" He was like, "I don't know." I think his words were, "Shotzzy runs this shit. I don't really know." I think it was Shotzi's choice. It is cool that he's back.
So of course this then sparked a number of memes, such as this one, Shotzzy backstage after losing to Miami, getting straight on the phone to AG and like, you know, please pick up, please pick up. All right, Pred, we want you back in. Enough's enough, right, with the way that things are going. I think that it probably wasn't all Shotzzy though. Also for Shotzzy, regardless of what happens, you know, obviously this isn't a great look, because I don't think that anyone really knew. Maybe Huke was aware that at least this could be a temporary thing, the replacement for Pred. But I don't think Huke went into the tournament necessarily thinking that this could be it for him, especially because Huke played very well at the tournament. He was their best player over the 3 series that they played. And then Huke comes out of the tournament and then gets dropped. Like, I'm sure, regardless of the circumstances, Huke will feel somewhat hard done by here. And maybe especially because it's his boy Shotzzy who's got rid of him, right? Like, you know, this is business at the end of the day. Shotzzy understands that. But still, it's tough, right? That's why, you know, if Shotzzy was the sole reason why this happens, then, you know, he's going to get some criticism for the way that it's been handled, I would understandably say. So, you know, that's why I'm sure Shotzzy isn't maybe so happy that FormaL said this in the way that he did, because it maybe is something that didn't need to be said. But Shotzzy actually in the Twitch chats last night said the following: "But this thing where I made the move needs to stop. That's not how it was. That's cringe." So, you know, his opinion is that that's not how it went down. There was more to it than that. And I would imagine that Shotzzy's probably right. I don't know. Like, what do you guys think? Do you buy Shotzzy's perspective? Do you guys think Shotzzy was the one to make the call and the call alone? I don't think so. I think it would have been more of a team effort. My general feeling is around Kenny as well, is that, like, I don't think I've ever seen Kenny look so checked out with the team as he has done in the last couple of weeks, really, with this OpTic team. You know, usually, certainly in the major, you'll see Kenny laughing, smiling, fist bumping, whatever, right? Like, they'll be down 5-4 in a search and destroying. Kenny's laughing with the team about something, you know, stuff like that. But I saw Kenny so many times, head in hands, you know, frustrated about the way that things are going. And maybe a large part of that was frustrated with the way that Huke was playing the game. I mean, OpTic have talked about it before, that Huke plays in an unstructured way that is not easy to work with. Sometimes you have to work around or cater to his, you know, dynamics. And that's not an easy thing to do all the time. And, you know, I imagine that Kenny had some part to play in this. That's my perspective. What Dashy thought about it, you know, Dashy's point of view, who really knows? But Shotzzy also goes on to say he's not going to stream for a while. So maybe he doesn't want to talk about this on stream yet. I think he has said that the plan will be, again, to stream the practice. Like, that is what they want to do when Pred gets to the States. The difficulty is that Pred isn't in the States yet, and he's still in Australia for now. By the time that Pred arrives out there to the US, it's going to be in a few days' time, I believe. It's going to be at least Monday, Tuesday, when OpTic can start to get practice underway. And especially because there's changes to the meta with the Jackal, we'll discuss again later on today, there's a possibility that OpTic go into Major 2 qualifiers pretty under-practiced with a brand new roster. Okay, it's an old roster, but you know what I'm saying, especially in this game, with the changes that have happened. So definitely an interesting development here. Intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below, because, yeah, Shotzzy, is he at it again? He's going to go a little bit radio silence over the next couple of days while they figure things out behind the scenes. Is it the right call? I believe probably yes. But you know, who initiated the call? We know that Karma, even as the coach of the team, when Huke was on the roster in Modern Warfare 2, when Karma wasn't even coaching, he was very critical of Huke as a player when he was on that roster on many an occasion. Certainly HyDra Electric, Hardpoint, and some instances on aBeZy come to mind as well. So I think there was more to it than just the Warlords made the call, but look, Shotzzy is effectively the decision maker on OpTic, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So very much interested to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.